I do hope you can see me today from where you are.
Ich bin ein Dilly.
If I'm generally anything, I guess I'm generally miserable. This modern world of science and invention is of particular interest to women.
The people, I would say, there is no patent. Would you patent the sun?
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Welcome to the Biographers.
I don't feel like I used to be so neurotic, but with time, one gets more neurotic.
I've told you about my most relatable character in Disney, right?
No.
In the world of Disney?
No.
So I don't think I've ever felt more like your cousin Caroline said about Mabel. I don't think I've ever seen more seen or been more seen than when I was watching Finding Nemo for the first time. And Nemo is trying to tell his school friends that he's got a gimpy fin, so he can't swim as well. And his friends are all giving their like examples of things. And one is like, Dad says that I'm this and this and this. And then I think it's the jellyfish who just like smacks his face up against Nemo and goes, I'm obnoxious. I was like, oh, it's me.
Have you seen the meme recently about the Little Mermaid?
No.
It's like, nothing is more unbelievable in the entire Disney universe than Ariel wanting to be where the people are. People are the worst.
I want to be where the people are, said no one ever.
I haven't seen that movie. I want to see it. But I have a friend that saw it and am I too high?
I would angle your mic up. So
oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let me.
That.
My friend saw it recently and she said...
I would also pull your pop filter back just a little bit.
I had it back and then I re-popped it.
It's close.
Where am I now?
So, like, see where I'm at? Like, that's about, like, how you want to take.
You said 3 fingers last time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot more than 3 fingers.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe I'm just wrong.
There's a measurement joke there.
There's a couple of jokes there.
There's a couple of jokes there. Okay, now what? What do I look like? I'm not watching the Lighty Bajig today.
Levels look good.
Levels
so
look good.
We're doing okay. We just laughed loudly and
whoopsie
it peaked. But no, I think we're in good shape. So here we are. Aubrey, are you ready for your first series?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you are.
I've been preparing for this my whole life.
Yeah, you have.
Much?
Have you heard that story of Picasso, by the way?
No.
Ooh, it's a fun story. I don't know if it's actually true, but it's like a parable of art. So one day as Picasso was sitting in the park, a woman approached him and said, "Oh my gosh, are you Picasso?" And Picasso said, "Yes, I am." And she says, "Oh, I have this napkin. Could you draw me a doodle really quick just so that I could say I met you?" And he says, "Sure." Takes the napkin, and for about 20 seconds, he just and hands her back the napkin and says, "That'll be $5,000. She goes, "What? It took you 20 seconds. And Picasso says, "No, it took me my entire life." Like, oh, that's cool.
That's the same parable as the boat repair.
The boat repair.
Okay,
I haven't heard that one.
So this is actually good for all you people out there who think that you may not be getting paid your worth. Just like Picasso.
Yes.
There in that last story. But this parable is there's like a big, I don't know, freight boat carrying containers. It's broken for months and nobody can fix it. They have all these guys out there trying to fix it. Nobody can figure it out. And they call this guy who's like the guy.
Okay.
And he comes in and he's like, "I'll take a look." And he goes and takes a look. And he's down there for a while. He comes back 15 minutes later. Boat turns on. It's all good. He fixes it. And they say, "How much will that be?" And he's like, "I'll invoice you." So he sends them an invoice. And it's $10,000. And they're like, what? And they call and they're like, what? We need an itemized invoice.
What you did.
And so he sends them an itemized invoice and it says $10 tapping, $9,990 knowing where to tap.
I like it.
So
I can see that.
Yeah, I like that one.
Also, I think you and I need to get just a bit closer. There you go.
I need to be closer?
Just a little bit.
Like
I'm listening on my monitors and you sound a little bit lower than me.
Well, I'm touching. Is that better?
That's better.
Because I kind of keep my pop filter on my nose a little bit to kind of know about where I am.
Oh, yeah. No,
Like-
I think you're good. I think
okay.
you're good.
Okay, so the tables have turned. Literally, we're sitting at a table that has been turned slightly.
It's true. I think I had a better angle now.
Yeah, I mean it's working. Yeah, it's Aubrey here and Daniel here, and we are moving on to our next subject.
What's our podcast called?
Oh yeah, that man. We really need to come. Where's our intern to write our intro?
You know, I think this is all coming in time.
Okay, so welcome to the Biographers Podcast.
Yay.
I'm one of your hosts, Aubrey McCarthy. I don't know.
For a bit still, until you travel
I finally
internationally.
I finally changed my name after I go on a trip.
And I'm Daniel Newman, as probably y'all know since you've already listened to my episodes. Hopefully, anyways, previously on good old Mabel Dodge Lewin.
Oh yeah.
Who are we going to learn about in this series, Aubrey?
Okay, so we are taking a bit of a turn. I feel like Mabel Dodge was someone that most people wouldn't have known about.
Mm-hmm.
I'd surely never heard of her. You happened to hear about her because of your father-in-law and Taos and going down there. I am picking someone that lots of people have probably heard of. In fact, her name is an adjective. It's Queen Victoria.
Victoria.
Of the Victorian era. So I've got actually a little bit of explanation of why we picked Victoria and things about Victoria, and we'll go into all those details. But I know it's a bit of a turn, so if you were expecting to hear about only obscure figures in history, I don't think that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to talk about anybody who's notable and worth knowing.
And I love it. And honestly, for anybody that is curious too, I had this conversation with Kat, my wife. My wife. And she was kind of asking the same thing. She was like, oh, are you going to be sticking to people that are more obscure? And I said, no. And she said, well, I feel like everybody knows Queen Victoria. And I looked at her and I said, do me a favor. What was her life like as a teenager? And then what was it like transitioning for her to being, 20 or 30 years old? And then what was it like as she started to age and get into her 40s? And she goes, okay, fair enough.
I see your point.
And I wasn't saying that in a patronizing way, because the truth is, I don't know. I have no idea about Queen Victoria's life growing up and what it was like. I don't even know, quite honestly, the general time period of when she was reigning. So like, I if that says anything for me, it's like, hey, as much as we can know who these people are, do you really know who they are and what they were all about and what their life was? So I'm really excited to hear about this.
Well, and as you're going to find out, like... I was reading about something with Queen Victoria, and then it would be like, it's like if you give a mouse a cookie. I got to go find out more about some other thing that's related, and you're about to get a whole, like big old glass of that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, as was the case with Mabel Dodge Lewin, most of the books that I read for her, they would mention the side characters, but generally not go super deep into who these side characters were. So I had to do, and I'm sure you had to do the exact same thing, a bunch of research into, okay, well, who was this person that they were hanging out with? Who was that person? What was their role? That kind of stuff. So
yeah, and actually you're making me think of something. I'm scrolling to my sources page. All the sources are they're on the website, and I just am going to quickly number right this moment how many. I've got 22 different sites and books, and actually 23, because the book itself is not listed on my list of sources that I just counted up really quick. So there's a lot. And it's funny, even I was just preparing for this episode this morning, and I was like, oh, wait a second, here's some other interesting stuff. And I just like dropped that in right before we recorded, like 2 hours ago. So totally. There's I think the point of all this is there is endless amounts of things that you don't know and that you can research. And like, this is still like, this is deep dive, but there's still way more. Like, totally. If you're like, wow, Queen Victoria is a lot more interesting than I ever thought, there's plenty of stuff to read and learn. So cough out of the microphone. Like Daniel did. I did that on the second cough there. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to be really transparent here. I also didn't have a lot of knowledge of Queen Victoria prior to doing this research. To be honest, I hadn't really even watched any of the movies or shows that had been made about her, except for that one that came out a couple years ago, Victoria and Abdul, which we'll learn more about in her later life.
Don't even know what that is.
It had Judi Dench in it.
Well, now I gotta watch. I'll watch anything with Judi
The Shaw,
Dench.
yeah.
And excuse you, Dame. Judi
Dame, I'm so
Judi
sorry,
Dench?
Dame.
Judy, if
My-
you're out there, I'm so
If you
sorry.
are listening to this, first of all, wow. Second of all, my deepest apologies. I'd actually just heard this random fun fact about Queen Victoria on an Instagram short on a page that I follow. Her name is Esme Louise James,
Okay.
and she does kinky history.
Ooh, okay.
And I think she's got a YouTube channel. I think she's releasing a book. Anyway, if you're interested in some of the more blush-inducing sections of history that, let's just say, we didn't learn in school, she's got a lot of fun facts. And something that was in that video piqued my interest. To be totally clear, I cannot find that video anywhere. So I sent her a DM yesterday to be like, did you do something? Am I hallucinating? Anyway.
Did she get back to you?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, more to come on that. But to get ourselves in the right mindset, I wanted to start with a quote from Princess Victoria's cousin, Prince George of Cambridge, and it was right after she was born. Daniel, I want you to read this quote, but I stupidly forgot to print it out or write it down. So let me turn my laptop around and read the highlighted text.
Oh, boy.
In your most best British and boisterous accent.
British and boisterous. I will do my best here. And we will probably cut out this scratchy noise from the...
Yeah, it's going to be real scratchy.
Okay. A woman on the throne of England? How ridiculous.
That's why I wanted you to read it. Oh, I knew I'd forget something.
Oh, hey, one day at a time. We're still having to learn the process of this podcast thing.
This is my inaugural podcast cruise.
Yeah, for anybody that is brand new to our podcast series, which I would imagine many of y'all are, because you might have seen a woman named Mabel Dodge Lewin and gone, and then you see Queen Victoria and go, ooh, that's way more fun. Yeah, this is Aubrey's first full researched and, what do we want to call it, narrated or led series.
Researched and read?
Yes.
I don't know. I
I'm
like
excited.
catchy alliterative sayings.
And also, by the way, I was saying this, maybe I said this to you last time we were recording, where I'm happy and excited right now because I feel like I manifested the podcast that I wanted to exist, and now I actually get to reap the benefits of it, which is that somebody else gets to explain a cool biography to me of somebody else's life. So I'm excited.
Yeah, 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, you're on the hook.
Yes, which I also enjoy. So win-win.
No, it's great. Okay, so to be clear, Victoria was worth knowing for a lot more than just the fact that she was female. She became the queen at 18 years old and was actually involved a bit in politics, which is not a common thing for a monarch. She survived multiple assassination attempts. She had 9 children.
Whoa.
In the 1800s, and maternal mortality back then, that was like risky business. You know how a lot of brides most commonly wear white on their wedding day?
Yes.
She started that trend.
No
Trendsetter.
way. Okay.
We'll learn more later. She was the second longest reigning British monarch, and she was the first to live at Buckingham Palace, which is what we all know, and that was only in the 1800s. So it wasn't as long ago as I would have expected.
Same.
She was the first British monarch to ride a train. She popularized the tradition of Christmas trees.
Wow.
She was the ruler of England during the Industrial Revolution, which is like big deal. Effectively, she flipped the popular opinion of royals at the time from the kind of people who just wasted taxpayer money and were sitting up there to actually people who donated to charities and participated in the arts and things like that. And finally, she was the ruler during the massive expansion of the British Empire, which obviously we know there was a lot of bad carnage and stuff too, but notably, at the time of her death, 1 in 4 humans on Earth were part of the British Empire.
Spoiler, can I ask when she died?
Yes, 1901. Don't ask me dates.
Ah! It's okay.
You'll know later. This is the beginning of her life.
I was just curious because I do know that in the it was 1920, I think it was the British Empire
she died before
controlled.
that.
It was like 20% of all of the land on Earth.
Yes,
It was
there's all
crazy.
these crazy British Empire facts and stuff like that too.
Anyhow, sorry.
Put me on the spot, and then my book's over there.
Well, next time I go, ooh, when did she die? You go, no spoilers.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just
that's
move
how we
right
do it.
past it.
Let's edit that in. Daniel, no spoilers. Okay. To make a note, all of the sources will be listed on the website as per usual. They come from various books, and the main book that I read is Victoria, an intimate biography of the woman who ruled an empire. It's by Julia Baird. She is a wonderful writer. It's very well researched. I've said it reads like a novel. Julia Baird, as a side note, is also a journalist, which is what I trained to be in college.
Hey.
And am not. But anyway, I definitely would recommend reading it. We'll have a link to this book on the website if you're interested in more, because like I said, it's just like you're reading a made up story. It's hard. Sometimes I'm reading this and I'm thinking this is fiction because it's interesting and anyway. So, but it's not. It's true.
Totally.
One of the websites is the official website of the British royal family, and it's obviously being updated constantly. Like there's pictures from Prince Charles becoming king on there right now. As I mentioned, I watched a couple movies and series about Victoria. There's Victoria and Abdul, which I mentioned. The Young Victoria, which came out in like 2009. It's got Emily Blunt in it. It was really good. But it did actually leave out a pretty major scandalous thing that we'll get into episode 2.
I was wondering how accurate these movies would be because
I was just getting more into the mindset and looking at what it looked like, and that's about the best
period,
you could do.
yeah.
The period. So we'll learn more about that scandal in episode 2. Calling something out, as I said, since we're a new podcast, like. Daniel, your first series on Mabel was just killer. I got a lot to live up to. I was thinking about Victoria as we were talking before. She was a person who's interesting, but also unknown, except for to those who knew her. And when I wrote this, I thought of that line from Pirates of the Caribbean where they're talking about the Isla de Muerta, and they're like, it's an island that cannot be found except for by those who already know where it is. And, like when I wrote that, I was like, oh yeah. So Victoria's a swing in a different direction from Mabel. And you might be going like, okay, whatever, another disconnected monarch. Royals are like not that exciting. Everybody knows about them, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that's so interesting about her is the inherent celebrity of being a royal. And
Totally.
I was thinking more about this, like what's the difference between being interested in a person that's famous for this reason versus other reasons, like being an athlete or an actor or a politician? Yeah, she didn't have to like work her way to the top. It was in her bloodline. But the tradition, the pomp and the circumstance, the scandal, the love, the lust, the loss.
I can also imagine being thrust into a situation like that is not easy. So half of it is you just having to cope with that situation.
Yes. And I mean, you'll come to find out, like, she didn't even know that she was in line for the throne for a while. Like,
okay.
When do you find that? Anyway, we'll get into all of that. From a practical standpoint, due to her status and the time that she was alive, there was so much written and documented about her. So there's a lot to share. And in our last series, Mabel was a really prolific writer. So there was a lot to share too. But like the average person, even that maybe becomes a politician, they don't necessarily have like tons of diaries or people like writing everything or saving every letter that they ever wrote. Like it's just different. And it makes me think too, like, let's say in 100 years, historians are looking back on now, like, what are they going to be looking at? It's going to be, videos and emails and like, it's just going to be different. It's kind of an interesting thought to think about. Like when people look at today, will they be listening to this podcast?
That is interesting.
And just one last thing on all of that. Our listeners don't know, Daniel knows, but I actually wrote a podcast episode a couple months ago about some other people that we haven't covered yet. The amount of information available for them was a lot less prolific, so it didn't lend itself to a longer format because there just wasn't that much information out there. So Maybe we'll air that. We'll record and air that episode at some
Yeah.
point as a bit of an intermezzo between bigger series.
I want to do like little spin-offies of our
Yeah.
regular episodes of like one, even at the end of Mabel Dodge, there are, I don't want to get too far into this, 1 or 2 stories probably that would be fun to share. And I would love to do that in a quick episode in the future.
Yep, I think so. Okay, but back to the subject. Alexandrina Victoria was born on May 24th, 1819, to Princess Victoria. Confusing, I know. Her
Okay.
mother was named Victoria. Princess Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld, a German widow. She was a German widow with 2 children from her previous marriage.
She was German?
Her mother was a German widow with 2 children from her previous marriage.
Interesting. Okay.
And to Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent and Strathearn, who himself had been born as 4th in line to the throne. So he was like the official bloodline, and then her mother was a German. And there's like a lot more of this German family. Like there's a lot of Germanic influence.
Her father, was he son of
the current king.
king? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who was Edward?
The current king, gosh, okay, you guys, I'm going to just tell you this. I have, in this book, there is this, like, giant family tree. And the current king and the brothers and all it's like, and they have a name that they're given at birth and they have a name that they change. But the point here is that he was the 4th in line to the throne after the current king.
Gotcha.
And so that made her the 5th in line to the throne because all of her uncles had no children.
Interesting.
So one thing that's interesting and brings it forward to today, because I am a person that I look at these things that happened in the past and I think about how do they parallel to today. She was the same in line for the throne as Prince Harry is today.
Oh.
So I had to dig into succession because there's been all this hullabaloo about succession, and Prince Harry and his autobiography is called Spare. And, you know, it took Charles a bazillion years because his mother lived to be 90 million and like all this stuff. So I definitely we're going to be like Alice in Wonderland here about succession in the royal family.
By the way, I couldn't help but giggle in my mind when you mentioned Harry's autobiography. Did you see the episode of South Park?
I did see the episode of South Park and it was pretty hysterical.
Wah.
It was pretty hysterical. But the thing is, it's interesting because a lot of the stuff that's happening now, I'm going to talk about the history of how it came to be.
Cool.
Okay, so Victoria, same spot in succession as Harry. And it's like, if we're paying attention to now, it's like, there's no way that Prince Harry's going to be the king.
Yeah.
So logically, for me, it would seem that the eldest son of the sovereign, so the sovereign is the ruler, which just means supreme ruler.
Okay.
That's used in reference to a monarch specifically.
I didn't know that.
So that's what sovereign means. And Sov, S-O-V-E-R, is from like Latin for like above or over. So S-O-V-E-R, O-V-E-R. So it's like above reign. That's kind of, I don't know. I looked into the Latin root because I'm that person.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was compelled to learn more about royal succession. And again, I would think that if the oldest child of the current ruler becomes the king, and then they have siblings and they die, you'd think that the sibling would become the ruler. So like if I was the queen, I would think that my brother Bill would become the king if I died.
Sure.
But it goes through your children. So if I had children, they would become the ruler. And then only after they died would my brother become the king.
Interesting.
And this pops up like relatively frequently in what we're learning here. I would think that keeps the bloodline more pure. My brother and I have effectively the same bloodline. My children would have mixed with my spouse, right? So it just seems like it would be more pure, but it's not like that. It goes through the firstborn, and at the time, the firstborn male. Anyway, so as I said, I'm going to talk a lot about succession, and right now we're going to jump backwards to the 1600s. And it took me a lot longer to like totally understand all of this than I'd like to admit.
So buckle up, basically.
Buckle up. There's a lot of interesting tangents. according to royallineofsuccession.com, and I'm going to just quote because it's easier.
Sure.
The British throne's succession is determined by descent, sex, legitimacy, and religion. Under common law, the crown is inherited by a sovereign's children or by a childless sovereign's nearest collateral line. So that's what I just explained.
Okay. Yep.
Victoria's father was Prince Edward. He had 3 older brothers. Only if those 3 brothers died and had no living children would the throne pass to Victoria's father, and as his first and only child would it eventually pass to Victoria.
Wow.
As long as he had no male children. Even after Victoria was born, if she had a little brother, it would actually skip her and go to her brother.
Wow.
So this was like unlikely that she might become the queen. That was the practice of primogeniture, which, do you remember that from growing up? It's called
No.
Primogeneture.
No.
It's just basically male firstborns went out.
Okay.
So Victoria becoming queen was a bit of a long shot, just like it is for Prince Harry. But since she did become the queen, I wouldn't totally count Prince Harry out. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Sure.
It's important to note, though, that Victoria was in line after 4 older men who were, let's face it, a little closer to natural death than, like, Harry's relatives, who's 1 older brother about my age and 3 very young nieces and nephews who probably have long lives ahead of them. So, she was the only young person in the line to the throne versus Harry's got people much younger than him.
Ugh.
So you might be asking, how long have the rules of succession been in place? According to the succession page of royal.uk, which is the official website of the British royal family, the basis for succession was determined in the constitutional developments of the 17th century, which culminated in a Bill of Rights in 1689 and the Act of Settlement in 1701. We're going to get more into what I'm about to say. When James II fled the country in 1688, I warned you we were going back far, far, far.
Okay.
Why might you ask? Story coming. Parliament said that he had abdicated the government, and so the throne was vacant and they needed someone in there. The throne was then offered not to his youngest son, primogeniture, but to his daughter, actually. So interesting there. And her husband, William of Orange, as joint rulers.
It's a great name.
I know. Because of this, it became established that not only the sovereign rules through Parliament, but the succession of the throne can be regulated by Parliament, and that a monarch can be deprived of their title through misgovernment.
Huh.
So basically, the monarchy is supposed to just continue the way it is, and the government made a decision that changed it up, and Mary and William of Orange became the king and queen over a brother, which was what was supposed to happen.
Interesting.
So, like, all of this is critical. There's some other things that are involved. Only a Protestant a Protestant descendant in the royal line could be allowed to succeed. And so when Parliament in the 1600s went on to change some things, they added some other stipulations. You had to be Protestant, you had to not be Roman Catholic. The sovereign had to be in communion with the Church of England and swear to preserve the established Church of England and established Church of Scotland and uphold Protestant succession.
So it's okay if you don't know this, but is Protestantism separate from the Church of England? Because I knew that
I think it's all the same. It's basically not Catholic.
Okay.
So you can't be Catholic.
Gotcha.
That's bad.
Okay.
It's real bad in the 1600s.
But when you become the king or the queen, you are
the head of the
Church of England,
yes.
right?
Okay. It's like you're the Pope of the Church of England.
The Church of England. Okay, cool. So
all of this got updated because all these rules were a little antiquated. So in 2013, just 10 years ago, they ended the system of male primogeniture. And this is applicable to anybody born after the 28th of October in 2011. Oh. And it also ended the provisions that those who marry Roman Catholics are disqualified for the line of succession.
That's pretty late.
This is really important, though, because Prince Harry married a Roman Catholic divorced American actress named Meghan Markle.
Ah.
So she was Catholic, so he literally, by marrying her before this law, wasn't allowed to be king ever, regardless of what happened.
Did he marry her before the law?
No, it was 2013. So they got
okay.
this guy.
Okay.
But if it hadn't been changed,
That's crazy.
if he had married Meghan Markle, he would have been out of the line.
Wow.
The other reason it's important is because Prince William has 3 children. The oldest is George, the second is Charlotte, and the third is Louis. Before this 2013 act, when Louis was born, he would have jumped in line in front of his older sister Charlotte in the line of succession.
Yeah.
So this is why they did all of this. There was like some stuff happening that was like, we gotta maybe fix this up. And so, whoever said the royals weren't progressive, like.
By the way, William is a total jerk for naming his son Louis, because if that kid becomes king and he's King Louis, what a punk. Never gonna get over it. The Monkey King.
One other note. As you may have guessed, or maybe didn't even think of, any children born out of wedlock are not eligible for the throne.
Okay, that makes sense.
Even if the parents get married after the birth of the child.
Well, I mean, if we're
and
tying it to religion, I guess
that stays in place even after this 2013 amendment.
Okay, interesting.
So remember earlier when we were talking about James II back in 1688?
Yeah, who fled?
Who fled.
Yes.
So he had converted to Catholicism in 1669. So almost 20 years before he became the king. And he ascended to the throne in 1685. And basically, like, there was really nobody was contesting it. Which was
he stayed Catholic?
And he stayed Catholic.
Interesting.
But then he started pissing people off.
Okay.
So he was trying to help the Roman Catholics, being one himself. And he was getting rid of like anti-Catholic laws, appointing Catholics in high academic, military, and political positions. And he like issued a declaration of indulgence that was supposed to help with like religious tolerance. But in the end, people didn't like it because it was like really very not okay to be doing this back then. He was pushed out, like I said earlier, by William of Orange. So fun thing about William of Orange, he was both James II's son-in-law and his nephew.
Okay. So then his his
son, nephew-in-law,
his brother's
his sibling's child
or whatever child married his daughter.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on.
I mean, that's true. I think Game of Thrones like made fun of it almost, in that it was just all a bunch of like cousins marrying each other.
Yeah, but it also, I mean, it's really not that far from the. I haven't come across any siblings, but definitely
there
cousins.
are many a joke out there of the royals and the let's say alignment with the hills have eyes.
Well, okay. So basically, his daughter and his nephew slash son-in-law took power ahead of his son, who was younger. So that was like kind of that skip in the male heir thing.
Okay.
And it all included like a battle, and the battle, it was all called the Glorious Revolution because it ended up restricting the powers of the monarchy and giving more powers to Parliament. So like by Parliament saying, Mary, you can go ahead and get to be the queen instead of your brother who's younger, like Parliament just kind of said, we're taking over here. So it was glorious to those who, were like, the monarchy sucks. And James fled to France and he lived in exile for the next 30 years and died. So sorry, James II, didn't go so well for you. So as you can see, this is all like its own topic. Like we could do an entire episode on Succession.
Sure.
That's why
I think they made a whole series on it at this point.
Yeah, I haven't actually watched that. But I do like to wait until shows like that are completely done so that I can binge them completely through.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah. But that's why we see all this in plot lines and shows. It's really complicated. It's susceptible to manipulation. And just being an only child, Victoria, a female only child, like people were really trying to get in there and control her or be kind of like if she were to become queen, like her mother and somebody else were trying to basically be like, we're gonna run the company or the country through you.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I got to get back to Victoria because that's what we're all here about. But there's just like one other little tidbit I want you to know of, because history repeats itself. And we talk about how history played out, especially when this was 2 centuries ago. I really do like bringing it forward so that we can have like a current relevant example of all this. So Queen Victoria, at the time of her death, was aged 81. Okay. She was the longest reigning British monarch at 63 years and 216 days at the time of her death. That time, as we said, was known as the Victorian era, which you do probably remember hearing about the Victorian era in school. Living to 81 was extremely notable, given that the life expectancy in the 1800s in Britain was about 45 years if you round up.
Interesting.
So Victoria was only surpassed in the length of her reign recently by her great-great-granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II, who died on September 8th, 2022, at the age of 96, reigning 70 years and 214 days. So what's that? It's like 6 years, almost 8 years more. So when we talk about Victoria and Elizabeth, we're talking about queens who were unlikely. And it must be said that when Queen Elizabeth was born, her grandfather, King George V, was on the throne. She was only third in line after her uncle Edward, the Prince of Wales, and her father, the Duke of York. Her grandfather, King George V, died on January 20th, 1936. And to be clear, I'm talking about Queen Elizabeth now, 1936. Her uncle Edward became King Edward VIII. But in a surprise twist, just 326 days after he became king, Uncle Edward abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry the American Wallis Simpson. Wallis Simpson had divorced her first husband and was working on divorcing her second husband. So all that succession stuff, it was like, you can't marry a divorcee with, Right. So this caused a massive scandal. It was thought that having a twice divorced woman with 2 living ex-husbands as the queen consort was unacceptable. Queen consort just means spouse to the king.
Right.
Consort. This is because the king was considered to be the head of the Church of England, and the church wouldn't allow a person to become remarried with living exes.
Makes sense.
If Edward went forward anyway with the marriage, which he sort of could have done, it would have caused the leaders of the government to resign, forcing a general election, therefore cementing Edward as the opposite of a politically neutral monarch, which is what he was supposed to be. So rather than giving up the love of his life, he abdicated the throne in 1936 so he could go off and marry Wallis Simpson. So because of this, his brother became King George IV. And King George only reigned for a short 10 years and died from a combination of illnesses, including lung cancer.
He's King's Speech George, right?
Literally the next sentence. He is the king portrayed in King's Speech.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And notably overcame his stutter after much work and after being thrust into the spotlight as an unexpected ruler with his brother's abdication, which was very, that doesn't normally happen.
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of you are like, blah, 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 whatever, royals. But this is pretty interesting. And the similarities, it's just like, it's cool to go down these different paths.
So now I'm curious. Edward, who was only in office, or in whatever reigning office,
326 days.
Prior to him, was it Victoria?
No, prior to him, it was his father, King George V. So if...
Wouldn't it be the third? Because his son was the fourth?
Sometimes
they're named after a different George?
They're named the number after the number of monarchs with that name. So they might... It's weird.
Huh.
So King George V died. Man, don't make me do... This has been like brain breaking, figuring out these things.
I can imagine.
He became King George... You know what? We're going to have our intern check this out.
Or we'll just have one of our listeners that really knows what they're talking about with royalty. They can just send us an email and let us know.
Yeah. Edward became Edward VIII. Yeah. Okay.
And then it was George V, and then Edward VIII, and then George IV.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Fact check.
It's sort of like in that episode
Fake news.
It's like in an episode of Ted Lasso, they're talking about the soccer league, and they're like, so we went from the Championship League to the Premier League, and that's the top league. But because we're at the top of that league, we go to the Champions League? And why? And one of them pauses and goes, money. And they'll go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
They can do whatever they want.
Anyway.
Okay, so we'll get that cleared up, but he's King George, the King's Speech King guy.
Right on.
So because of that, then Elizabeth became the queen. She wasn't, if her uncle had had children, it would have been a different story.
It's crazy.
So let's go back to Elizabeth's great-great-grandmother, Princess Victoria. So she was born in 1819, and her mother insisted on breastfeeding her for 6 months, which was not common back then. Wealthy women used wet nurses, which I always figured was a bit of like, I want to be doing other things rather than being with my baby, and I have all this money and I can just hire people to do this. But actually, the reason was they wore corsets back then, and it was really complicated to take them on and off. And they were so tight that it was inhibiting their ability to create breast milk.
Oh my gosh.
So that was one of the reasons that wet nurses were like around for these wealthy aristocratic women. But Victoria's mother, Victoria, decided, I'm going to just breastfeed her anyway. This was really a bold choice, but it won the favor of the public at the time. And it's really important because in addition to many of the medically recognized benefits of breastfeeding, including like building a baby's immune system, it was about the only effective way to prevent pregnancy at the time. So
interesting.
A quick Google search will confirm that in the first 6 months after birth, breastfeeding is 98% effective against pregnancy. But let me note, we are not medical professionals. And anyone listening should not take anything we say as medical advice.
This is a good call.
But it did seem to prevent more pregnancy in this case. So since she was breastfeeding, Victoria's mother, her likelihood just really dropped down of having another child and obviously of having a male child. So Victoria was like holding her spot in succession. Additionally, Prince Edward, Victoria's father, was contributing to the care of his only child. He was overseeing the nursery and was quite the doting father. He also knew that she could possibly be the queen one day, and in intimate circles he would say, and I quote, "Look at her well, for she will be the Queen of England."
He saw it.
He just prophesized it, maybe. I don't know.
Even though she was like fifth in line or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
a long shot, but he was thinking it. So I can't leave this part out. Julia Baird, the author of my primary resource, Victoria, she just has this incredible way of interweaving this historical facts about the time. And similar to the way that when you're conversing with your friends, like in a party, someone's like, oh, did you know this other fact? And it enriches the conversation, kind of the way that this podcast is. So reading her book is like that. And she's such an excellent researcher and historian and writer. When you're hearing... If you like what you're hearing, I want you to go ahead and read this because there's a lot more. I left out a lot of stuff. She's like, oh, and at the time, Charles Dickens was around. And like, there's all kinds of stuff that was happening. But the book's pushing 500 pages, plus footnotes, plus images and family trees and all kinds of stuff.
I feel like we could say this about most of the stuff most of the subjects we cover is if y'all want a lot of richness and detail, go read the book.
Yeah.
But, obviously.
But listen to our podcast first.
Totally.
So... one of the most shocking but not shocking things that Julia Baird dropped in as a knowledge note is that babies, when they were left with wet nurses, and not just aristocratic babies like all babies, those wet nurses were taking care of up to like 10 babies at a time. Wow. So it was like daycare. It was just 1800s.
With your boobies.
Daycare with your boobies, yeah. I don't think that they breastfeed babies at daycare these days.
Cool. Yeah.
But you're a wet nurse in the 1800s, you got 10 babies. You got trouble managing all of those babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they might give the babies something. Can you guess what that might be?
Oh, gosh. Like, I'm imagining alcohol.
Would laudanum make sense?
Oh, the old laudanum, which we have discussed.
Mm-hmm. Laudanum.
Holy moly. What is laudanum?
It's a mixture of all of the bad things like opium and alcohol, and what else was in there?
I think I read that it was mostly morphine.
Oh yeah, morphine. I forgot about morphine.
So they're giving babies
They're
morphine.
giving babies like the drugs.
Wow.
They also said tincture of opium, and this would calm the babies down. But having all that stuff around, it led to addiction by the parents, the nurses, and the babies, sadly, would lose their appetites and often starve to death.
Oh my gosh.
So thanks, Julia Baird, for that little tidbit. And the wildest part of it, so many babies during this time died before the age of 5 that you could actually buy insurance that paid out £5 if your baby died.
Oh my gosh. Like literal dead baby insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the most indelicate things that's ever come out of my mouth, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
By 1900, 80% of babies were insured.
Oh my gosh. That is a morbid and sobering thought.
Mm-hmm. They're just drugging up those babies, and
It's like baby life insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and that feels so wrong to me.
it's really screwed up because they were giving them the drugs that were, it was just really, I mean, it was a product of the times.
Crazy in retrospect, I guess at the time is logical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that they were like having babies to collect $5,
No,
£5, but yeah, it was just, I mean, this was before a lot, obviously long before like antibiotic, all kinds of medical treatments, which we'll talk more about some medical treatments coming up.
Oh, joy.
So, but luckily for Victoria, as an heir to the throne, she herself was not given any drugs to keep quiet.
Ah.
So most images that we see of Queen Victoria are her as an adult, but and she was a robust woman. Well, if you look, she's not slight.
Okay.
As a child, though, descriptions of her as a baby were included, but were not limited to stout, pretty, miraculous, solid. Her father said, a model of strength and beauty combined, as well as rather a pocket Hercules than a pocket Venus.
I feel like you just described me as a baby. Stout, miraculous, check.
Solid and pretty.
Solid.
But wait, there's more. Baron Stockmar, her father's lawyer, said she was, and I quote again, a pretty little princess, plump as a partridge.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So she's
a chubby.
She's a little chubby baby.
Hey, I get that.
But that
I
was
a
good
chubby
back
boy.
then.
Yeah.
It was really good back then. So Victoria was born a few years after the defeat of Napoleon at Waterloo, ending a 17-year war with France. It was the Industrial Revolution. People moved from the country to the city. And I have to directly quote from the book as I find it helpful to understand the length of her life and reign and how much things changed between when she was born and when she died. When Victoria was born, food was cooked in open fireplaces. Horses carried messages. Half the population was illiterate. A narrow band of property owners were the only ones with political power. By the end of her life in 1901, you asked me
There
that,
we
and I was
go.
like, I know the date. By the end of her life in 1901, people traveled by subway. Telegraphs shot messages across oceans. Education was compulsory, and women had some basic rights.
Wow.
So it's a long life.
It's like us talking about living through the 90s and experiencing the birth of the internet.
I know.
I mean, look, we like to talk about it like that, but imagine going from horses and carriages to there is a tunnel under the ground with a machine like a worm, and you get inside the worm machine and it takes you through the tunnels underneath our city and you don't even know it's there. That would be a pretty shocking change to experience in your lifetime. That's pretty insane.
Well, yeah, and just like you have to send a message through a carriage, and now you can just
Through a
like
wire?
Yeah, a wire. I mean, it was wild. It was.
That's crazy.
And have you ever seen that chart online? And it's like the exponential increase in technology and how it builds
over
on
time,
itself.
It's the something, the law of something. I can't remember. Oscars.
We'll see if we can find it and we'll put it on the website or something. But it is crazy how when you get like one little, I don't know, let's like unit of technology, and it took you 100 years to get to that, and then you can get another unit of technology in 50 years, and then the next one in 25. Yeah, it's wild. It's like time value of money, but with technology.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Victoria's still a baby, so she's got to be baptized, right?
Oh, of course.
It's logical. She was part of the family that was in charge of the Church of England.
Totally.
So it should be a big deal, right? But her uncle, who was the Prince Regent, which is basically the king at the time, had been alive for a really long time, and the guy, the prince, the uncle that was next was like just kind of waiting for his dad to die so he could become the king.
Okay.
So the Prince Regent was not thrilled that Victoria had even been born. He was very upset because his only heir had recently died giving birth to her only child, who also died.
Oh, wow.
So he was having a rough time.
That's a bummer.
He was next in line for the throne. He'd had a daughter. His daughter was having his grandchild, and both of them died.
Ugh.
So when Victoria, that moved Victoria up in the line of succession. And so her baptism and naming was actually kind of minimally documented because of it. He was like, she's a threat to, she wasn't even a threat. Like these, they had died sadly, but he was like salty about it.
I mean, in the world of succession games or whatever you want to call it, I mean, he got dealt a bad hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a result, he was probably funneling his bitterness of his loss into this other little
At
child.
the pocket Hercules.
Yeah, the little stout Victoria.
Mm-hmm. So the baptism was a private ceremony in the Tower of London.
Whoa, cool.
Mm-hmm. Interesting thing. The room had all these busts of non-Christian emperors and pharaohs because it was in the Tower of London. But the Archbishop of Canterbury was there to perform the baptism. So they covered the busts up to just, keep his eyes shielded from those pagan busts.
He has very sensitive
He's very
eyes.
sensitive.
He can't even see the image of the pharaoh without
know.
being potentially corrupted away from his faithful ways.
It would be terrible for him to experience. So there was a spat over Victoria's name because the baptism is like part of the naming ceremony. The regent didn't want anyone to even get it in their head that Victoria could become the queen. So her official first name is Alexandrina, which is after her godfather, who was the Tsar of Russia.
Whoa.
And then her second name, people were throwing out names, traditional names like Charlotte or Elizabeth, names we've already mentioned. But the regent was like, no. After Victoria's mother just started crying, she was like, can we pick a name for my daughter?
Oh my gosh.
The regent finally said, give her the mother's name also, but it cannot precede that of the emperor. So she became Alexandrina Victoria.
Interesting.
And notable there is those are both foreign names. So it was really just an effort to just be like, she's not really possibly going to be the
Victoria
queen.
is not a traditional English name?
Mm-mm. Apparently it's a German name.
I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense, but it just, I guess probably because of Victoria, I always think of it as it's right up there with Elizabeth.
Yeah, you
as
just think
this
it's
very sort of traditional English name. That's funny.
So that was him just trying to be like, yeah, it should have been my daughter.
Interesting.
And it should have been my grandchild. Her nickname was Drina until she was about 4, Drina. And then later, Parliament did try to change her name to one that was more British, but she chose to keep her name at that point in time.
Okay.
She was older. So she said, nope, I'm Alexandrina Victoria. So after the baptism, Drina was brought by her father everywhere, including military meetings. I just think of him as so proud to have his little daughter.
It's cute.
And he's just like, here we go. We're going to go plan a battle. And here's my pocket Hercules.
Totally. A little warrior gal.
A little warrior baby. The King Regent, though, was he didn't like that. He was like, mm-mm. He was generally very grumpy. He had recently, as we mentioned, lost his daughter and his grandchild in the same day. Additionally, he didn't like his wife. He was obese and in pain.
Oh.
So he was addicted to laudanum.
Oh, once again, laudanum strikes again.
Laudanum is all over this time. So laudanum was widely used for pretty much everything from back pain to hysteria to gout. And many famous people and royals of the time were, I mean, everybody was addicted, taking it. Like, they were just laudanum all the time.
Okay.
So with regards to health at the time, only a few months after Victoria's birth, her mother was suffering from rheumatism. So her father, the Duke of Kent, her wonderful, loving father, who was so proud of her, decided to take the whole family on a pleasant winter vacation to the seaside. It was bitterly cold and not pleasant in the least. At the time, in addition to opium, laudanum, cupping, and using leeches to bleed people, medical professionals began to believe that the seawater and air had healing powers. And it was also useful for postpartum depression and for nursing mothers. And I was pretty surprised to read that postpartum depression was even like mentioned in this, because like I don't even think that, I feel like we're finally coming around to realizing that's a thing now. So it was pretty impressive that they did that.
Yeah, because I feel like even when we were talking about Mabel in the last series, it was like she had postpartum depression, and like they weren't even really calling it that. It was just like, yeah, she was just depressed after having a baby, and that was sort of all it was, you know.
Well, maybe she should have gone to the sea.
Apparently.
I don't know.
She went the opposite. She went 9,000 feet into the air into the New Mexican desert.
Well, I mean, that's what they say. Like the Stanleys like went up to Estes Park and made the Stanley Hotel because I think his wife had like tuberculosis.
Yeah,
and
I've heard that it's
the dry air, but also the sea air. Just change your air if you're not feeling well.
Except over a cow's barn.
Oh, yes. For those who listened to the first series, what was her name?
That was Catherine Mansfield,
Yes.
and she died under the care of George Gurdjieff.
Yes, for her
Anyway.
tuberculosis with the cow.
I don't need to derail us.
So sorry. So the Duke went to Devonshire early to see where to stay at the seaside. And while he was there, he consulted a psychic.
Yay!
Lots of overlap here, just like Mabel. The psychic told him that the following year, 2 royal family members would die.
Ooh,
And she was right.
dang.
Soon after this, the whole family traveled out to the coast. It was cold and miserable. They moved into their cottage on Christmas Day, 1819. The house was being pummeled with rain and snow. This didn't seem to bother the Duke at all, though. He would take walks. On January 7th, he took a walk and came back complaining that it was so cold that his bones ached. He went down with a fever. A doctor was called. This guy used, you guessed it, cupping and bleeding to get the sickness out.
Ugh.
So cupping involves cutting the skin, putting a heated cup over it, and as the cup cools, it creates a vacuum that sucks your blood out.
God.
And it resulted in a loss of at least 3 liters of his blood.
Oh my gosh.
Which I should have Googled this, but that's a lot of liters of blood.
I think that's a lot of liters
Don't
of
you
blood.
have like 5 or 7 or I don't know how many liters of blood you have in your
I was
body.
going to say pints. I want to say you have like, is it like 20 pints of blood in you or something like that?
I'm not really good at math.
Converting to liters. Anyways, that's
It was a lot of blood.
Jeez.
I don't know if you can guess. The Duke's last words
Oh God.
the Duke's last words to his wife were, "Do not forget me." He died at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, January 23rd, 1820.
Oh my gosh.
So Victoria is now an orphan and bumped up in line.
Wait, did her mom die too?
No, sorry, she's not an orphan. I guess she doesn't have a father.
Okay. Not an orphan.
She's
But
not an
doesn't have
orphan.
a dad.
She doesn't have a dad. Why did I say orphan? Edit that out.
It's okay.
He died at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, January 23rd. His coffin weighed more than a ton. It was 7 feet long. And it caused the pallbearers to struggle to get him into the funeral.
What was it made out of?
I don't know. Iron wood. I don't know. It was big, though.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was royal. It was a royal coffin.
I didn't know royal coffins weighed a ton.
I mean, I'm just thinking about how many pallbearers you'd need to carry a ton coffin.
You'd have to have like 40 pallbearers or something like that. Jeez.
I don't know. It was big. So, fun fact about the time, his wife, Victoria, because, everybody's got the same name, was not allowed at the funeral because she was a woman.
Oh my gosh.
At the time, women weren't allowed because people thought they would lose control of their emotions.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, we can't have that.
Yeah. They just, you women folk, boy.
Yeah, we would just be distraught and faint. Give us some laudanum.
Oh my gosh.
So this was a turning point for Victoria. Her mother made it her mission to get her ready for the throne. The Duke had left the entirety of his estate to his wife, which was unusual for the time. Women could only earn interest on the money in their estates, but not own the actual assets. So this was really rare that she actually had all this money. Victoria and her mother were allowed by the king regent to stay at the Kensington Palace where they had been living before, which was good. And Victoria would spend the better part of the next 2 decades under strict rules, scrutiny, and the care of her, let's air quote, doting mother.
Okay.
So, yeah, she was going to have to be, well, you're going to learn more here.
Okay.
It's a rough time for Victoria.
Yes.
Oh, and she's a baby.
Wait, so how old would she be right now?
Not even a year old.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Or a year old, basically. Like she was really young.
Okay. So she didn't even remember the death of her dad.
Yeah, she wouldn't have remembered her father. Only 6 days after the Duke's death, his father, the king, also died.
Oh my gosh.
Prophecy complete.
Oh my gosh.
This moved Victoria up in the line of succession from the 5th to the 3rd in just a matter of days.
Wow.
With this, the regent became King George IV. The psychic's prediction had come true, and the 2 members of the royal family had died in that year.
Wow.
And it was like January. So Victoria had been too young to know her father. Her mother was a German, and she was on a mission to keep Victoria safe, educated, and really, should the time come for her to ascend, ready.
Yeah.
And we'll learn more about how all this played out. But I'm just thinking about poor little pocket Hercules.
I'm just imagining knowing that her mother is German. You know what I mean? This like
Frau.
Like her name should be Bertha or something like that.
Oh man. So let's talk about Victoria's early years. Victoria was described as smart, defiant, sad, kind-hearted, conflicted, privileged, and I'm adding trapped. She was famous for her dolls. She made 132 wooden ones, as well as paper dolls, which are all preserved today in Windsor Castle in the Royal Archives. But I don't think you can go see them. I was trying to figure out if you could go see them. I think they're like in a secret just archive.
They keep the dolls locked up.
Well, so I discovered this. They keep a lot of these. There's bazillions of letters and documents, and most of it is not available to any of the public. And so I believe that the author of the book I read actually was granted access to some of this stuff so that she could do her research. So it's like,
that feels like sort of wrong to me, because especially knowing that the UK public is paying for that basically, and then throughout the years they're not able to actually see the stuff that they've technically been paying for.
I guess part of it is to preserve. It's like fragile.
But you could put some dolls behind some plexiglass.
Yeah,
and,
maybe.
And
I
control that
don't
with a
quote me on
humidifier
that
or whatever.
Don't quote me on that. There may be some that are on display, but I don't know that it's as easy to see. It didn't seem like I could go like sign up for a tour of the royal dolls or something like that.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Victoria was fiercely attached to her pets, which I can identify with. I think you can too. She had a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel named Dash.
Oh, the worst kind of dogs.
Oh, I don't think they're so bad.
Anybody that's got one, they're great. I just remember I had a buddy named David, and they had one. He was the most punkish dog. But anyways.
I mean, maybe he just had a bad personality.
That is very fair.
Well, Dash, he would get dressed up. And he would sleep by her side, and he would go on her boat while she was sailing. Apparently, she also had some canaries that she tortured.
Excuse me?
There was no more in the book on this, so it just said she had some canaries she tortured.
I really want more details on the canary torturing.
I'll see what I can find.
I mean, well, because because there's two schools of thought, right? It's, oh, did she torture them because she put them in a round cage alone so they couldn't socialize, and that's like its own little form of torture? Or was she like poking them with needles? Like,
I don't know, but maybe they were in the coal mine, if you've ever heard that phrase.
ooh, yep. Maybe, but I want to know what the extent of this torture was, basically, because that freaks me out.
It didn't get elaborated on, and I didn't see anything in my other stuff. So
All right, well,
I'm reporting it right here, but I don't know what else.
She did not like canaries.
I didn't like canaries. Well, I don't like animals without fur, to be honest. Like, I don't want a pet that's not a mammal.
Oh, but chickens.
I know, I'm a little iffy about chickens.
Oh, dude, they're the best, man.
I know, but
I love my chickens.
I don't like animals without fur. I don't even like when a mouse has like a mouse tail that's not furry. I like gerbils.
Oh, I had mice when I was a kid and I loved them. They're great.
It's something about
Some people are like that. Whatever the weird line is, I didn't like rats. I wouldn't want a rat, but mice were fine, seemingly.
It's so funny too because people have rats and they love rats.
I know, and I had so many people tell me when I had mice, they were like, well, I have a rat. My rat is the best. And for whatever reason in my mind, it was always just, ugh, you have a rat. A mouse is fine.
Well, they're
not a
pretty
rat.
intelligent, apparently.
I know. I don't know what my prejudice is against rats because they, like a pet rat, I'm sure is great.
We had guinea pigs growing up.
We had everything, dude. We had cat, dogs, we had
Well,
gerbils,
yeah, I mean-
a bunny, fish, mice, all kinds of stuff.
We had dogs and guinea pigs, and then when I went to college, I got a gerbil named Captain Morgan because he was silver spiced
Of
rum.
course, that's why you named him Captain Morgan.
He didn't live very long.
Not because you... Oh my god, Kat has like the worst gerbil story Long story short, she found half of it in her dryer.
No!
Yup.
Sorry, I screamed to the mic. No!
I know, it's not
Why
good.
did you say that? You're going to turn our podcasters off, our biography.
It was an accident. It kept getting out of the cage, and she was like trying not to. And I think its name was Fred. But anyways,
Oh, Fred was dead.
yeah. So anyway, I know I didn't like it. They weren't happy. They screamed. They were like, "Ah!" And they cried.
I introduced this with tortured canaries.
This
so.
is true.
Ooh, tortured canaries could be a shirt.
Or a punk rock band.
Okay. So during her adolescence, Victoria, I guess the word would be kept. She was kept under the Kensington system. The Kensington system was a set of rules and restrictions that were developed by her mother and her mother's advisor, Sir John Conroy.
Okay.
The system was designed to make her ultra dependent on her mother and Conroy. She was never alone, always with her mother or her tutor or her governesses. One of her governesses, Baroness Lazen, whom we will call Lazen from now on, was one of the few people that Victoria trusted and was considered by historians to actually have Victoria's interests in mind. And we'll learn more about Conroy, who, to be frank, did not have her interests in mind, only his own.
Oh, okay.
It was definitely, this Kensington system was, well, we'll get more into it. It was very restrictive.
And what was the dude's name again?
John Conroy.
Conroy. Is he kind of like Lord of the Rings?
I mean, I watched it all when all the ones came out many years ago.
Do you remember what was his name? Wormtongue? Grima Wormtongue?
I can't remember.
So he's in like with the Riders of Rohan, and the king when he's all like gray and looking like he can barely talk and stuff. And then there's the creepy guy who's all pale and he has black hair and he has no eyebrows and he's like, "Oh my lord, I am here to tell you they're not your friends." And the king is like, "You're not my friends."
Yeah, kind of, except for it was her mother that he was like up in her business. And
okay.
we'll get more into it, but there was definitely strong speculation that they were having a relationship and all this stuff. He was very manipulative. But yeah, let's put that guy in I think he was actually known to be a womanizer, so he was probably pretty attractive, but
Okay. So like a good-looking Grima Wormtongue.
yes. I mean, he was basically, it's making me think of, we brought up Game of Thrones, but House of Dragon, that kind of guy with the leg that's influencing.
Oh, yeah.
I think more,
like towards the end when him and Rhaenyra are like,
I can't remember any of their names.
no,
but
not Rhaenyra.
The,
It's the
mother,
yes.
the one that married, the one that was her friend that married. Anyway,
that marries. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
we totally digress. If you haven't
But
watched
yes,
House of the Dragon,
I know the guy that you're talking about.
I think of him more as like an attractive version of that dude.
Okay.
So, as I said, Victoria was never alone, always with her mother, her tutor, or her governesses. So, as we said, John Conroy didn't have her interests in mind. Victoria had two playmates, which were one, her half-sister, Fedora. Remember, her mother was had two children before
From
she
previous
married.
marriage,
Yeah, and he had died, so she was a widow. Half-sister Fedora and one of Conroy's daughters. So those were the two people that were around for her to play with that were her age. But her sister was like 10 years older than her. So when Victoria was 9, her sister left to get married.
Wow.
So it was a devastating blow to Victoria because it was basically her best friend.
Wow.
She also had relationships with other family members, but mostly from afar, and they only visited infrequently. She did have a good relationship with her uncle Leopold, her mother's brother, who we'll talk about more later.
Okay.
She was really kept in the palace. She slept in her mother's room every night, and she was not allowed to so much as walk down the stairs alone. Literally, she had to hold someone's hand to go up and down the stairs before she became queen.
Oh my gosh. And this was all the way up until the age of like 18 or some odd? Jeez.
So I can't imagine being just trapped and having nobody that you could really confide in and literally having to be like, I want to go downstairs. I need to wait for someone to hold my hand. Well, actually, someone would be there, I guess. She would always be by herself or never be by herself.
It's basically she did not have a childhood at all, right? She probably had almost no example of even what a child should be because the people that she was hanging out with were also raised in probably a similar tightly controlled environment, so they were just like little adults basically running around.
This was really extra. This was specifically designed to keep her under their thumb.
That is crazy.
And also to protect her. Like, her mother had an interest. Like, if she became queen, then her mother was going to be able to potentially have some control and
sway,
power.
sure.
So like, it was all very calculated.
Wow.
So, interestingly enough, Victoria's first language was actually German.
Really? Okay.
Because her mother was from Germany. And up until age 3, Victoria was speaking German because she was locked in Kensington Palace and she was with her German mother and all the staff that had been hired and they were all German. And she didn't learn English really begin to learn English until she was 4.
Wow.
Her mother, this is funny about her mother, she would feign not being able to speak English, and so she had to give speeches occasionally, and so they'd write the speeches out like phonetically. And it's funny, in the book it's like, I want to this, but it's kind of like written in English German phonetic silliness.
That's funny.
But apparently she actually, at least later, she could absolutely speak English, but it was pretty interesting. So Victoria had a bit of a temper, and she was rather defiant. It's almost like she knew before she knew that she was pretty much in charge. It was also speculated that because she was under such strict rules with the Kensington system that she was pushing boundaries, just like most of us. When you're told not to do something, that's like the only thing you want to do.
Yep.
So little pocket Hercules was like a little pocket Napoleon, maybe.
Awesome.
She was like... Her governess, Lazen, made her document her outbursts.
Made Victoria document them.
Yeah, when she started learning to read and write. To quote, on August 21st, 1832, Victoria wrote that she was very, very, very terribly naughty, with the very's underlined 3 times and the naughty underlined 4 times.
Oh my gosh.
A month later, a similar entry by Victoria said that she was very, 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 very horribly naughty, all underlined 4 times. In her journal, she had just documented that the heat was intolerable.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I get a little grumpy when I'm hot.
I mean, I do too. That's why I moved out of Los Angeles. I was grumpy all the time.
So she wrote a lot. creative writing. Many of the characters were bad children in need of punishment.
Oh my gosh.
These writings revealed that the princess, quoting from the book, wrestled with the need to be well behaved and how she fantasized about being indulged rather than corrected. So she was pushing boundaries, and she would like negotiate on behaving. There was a note that one time someone was coming to visit and she was supposed to behave and she was going to get a prize for behaving, but she was like, well, give it to me now. And they were like, no. She had everything she could want, but clearly being trapped in the palace, it was just a consolation prize. Apparently, Kensington Palace was dirty, dark, infested with pests. One year for her birthday, she asked for the windows to be cleaned so she could see out.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty sad.
That's pretty disgusting.
It's like Rapunzel.
I was looking at my windows the other day and going, man, they're a little dusty. I wonder if somebody would come over to my house and look through these windows and go, Daniel, you need to clean your windows. But I don't think it's to the point where they would go, dude, I can't see out. Can you just please clean your windows?
My windows are a little close to that, but it's not because of dust. It's because of dog nose prints.
It's nose slobber and
yeah, it's nose print art.
Hound dog drool.
Yeah, it's barking and spitting and mooshing your nose and against the glass.
Hey, different thing, but I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine the years of grime that would have to build up onto a window like that.
Well, I mean, think about it though. They always had fires in there.
Okay, that's true.
They had to because it was cold. I mean, it was in England, so I'm sure there's
but the fire was still going. Like most of the soot had to have been going out, you know.
Probably, but still, I mean, you can have stuff back up too. My mom 2 years ago, she didn't open. I don't know the right words, but she didn't open the flue or something, and She turned on the fire. She thought it was on, and then she went in the other room for a second. She came back in, and it was just really smoky in there, and black soot got like on everything.
You know that's how Weird Al's parents died.
Died?
Literally, they died on the same night because they forgot to open the flue on their fireplace.
Oh my gosh! Okay, you're giving me a panic attack.
No, it's not good. I'm just saying, open your flue, people. You can die. It's not good.
Open your flue.
Well,
okay.
flue.
On a lighter note, my cousin Caroline, who has been mentioned in here. Hi, cousin Caroline.
Yay.
She lit a candle once and it like did some weird black smoke thing, and it got like she had carpet
I've
in the
heard about
room.
that.
Yeah, and the rug was like black soot on the whitish carpet.
I remember there was a summer I was staying with my sister-in-law's parents out in Wichita,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember her mom, Donna, was like, if you can light candles, it's fine. Just don't leave if the candle is here, because her daughter at one point had lit a candle and that exact same thing happened. The walls apparently turned black.
Yes,
from
I'd
this
never heard
candle.
of this.
I hadn't either. I didn't believe it, but I'm glad to hear it was verified.
Well, and there was no electricity, so you had a lot of candles. So I think we've solved the mystery of how the windows could get so dirty.
Hey, that's true. They probably had much less sophisticated waxes and things like that to be using.
Yeah,
So,
it was,
hey, fair enough.
I can imagine. So, okay, she was lonely. But she had Lazen, who was described in our book as an eccentric, single-minded, clever woman who dedicated her life to ensuring that Victoria would be a forceful and intelligent queen. Victoria was an excellent artist, and she drew portraits of Lazen. She was criticized by people that were also trying to influence Victoria. Because of it, Victoria trusted her even more. So, like, people were trying to, like, you know, tell Victoria what to do, and like this woman always had her back.
Cool.
So she was like, okay, this is my person. When Victoria was sick, her mother would be off traveling, her governess would be there by her side.
Oh.
Most people wouldn't even bother to try and educate Victoria much because she was a girl, but this was made a primary focus. It was very forward thinking to spend your time educating a girl. This quote from her really sums up saying that she would basically her motivation on all of the input she gave to Victoria. I mean, she could have just been like, okay, let's keep you clean. Let's keep you fed, like, and not done too much. Let's teach you some poetry. But she did more. She said that she would pardon wickedness in a queen, but not weakness.
Interesting.
So she was trying to really teach her to be strong and think for herself and all this stuff.
That's pretty cool.
We mentioned that Victoria was an artist, that she made dolls. She was interested in dancing also. She was singing, opera, theater, and she was horseback riding. And also we mentioned her boat. She had a pretty awesome life being exposed to all of this, but it was in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question now. If you were a royal in the line of succession, when do you think you would find out, and how?
Like age, or
Yeah, like it's almost like finding out you're adopted or something. I don't know. I've never been. I don't know. But like it's like such a big thing, and it's like, do you tell them? Like, when do they know?
I would imagine. I mean, like my assumption, I guess, is more accurate to say, has just been like, I feel like they would always know. I think you kind of said it best of like, but man, you kind of say it with adoption. I feel like most people have said, and I am not an expert on this, so please don't get mad at me if I'm dead wrong, but I feel like most folks that have adopted children have said, no, it's best to let them know up front, because then you don't feel like there's a lie later on in life. I don't know this. Please don't be mad at me. But for some reason, I have in my head that would be exactly the same thing with any type of succession, of just sort of like, it's always known, is that through all of this is just this like, yeah, you are a royal person. You look at you are treated like royalty. And if, oh yeah, by the way, the reason we're treating you like this is because you are in line to potentially take something over. So tell me how wrong I am.
I mean, you're not that wrong, but a little bit. And obviously it would clearly vary.
Yeah.
But this is maybe pushing it. So let me read this directly from the book, because it's just a great visualization. Victoria was 10 years old when she discovered she was third in line to the throne. It was March 11th, 1830. She was at her little desk trying to concentrate on her books. A sprig of holly was pinned up to the front of her lace-trimmed velvet dress to keep her chin up and her back straight.
Oh my gosh.
She'd get poked if she leaned over.
Oh my gosh.
Outside, the sun was thawing the ground after a deep cold that had frozen part of the Thames, and she was itching to be out on her horse, galloping side saddle across Kensington Gardens. Riding was the closest she got to solitude. Remember that, solitude.
Mm-hmm.
She started leafing through Howlett's Tables of the Kings and Queens of England and frowned as she came upon a page she had never seen before. A map of the British royal family tree that showed a line leading to the throne. Her uncle, the ill-reclusive King George, was the current king. Next was his brother, her Uncle William. And after that was her name. Victoria burst into tears.
Jeez.
I am nearer to the throne than I thought.
Wow.
So the interesting thing about all that, the reason she found out at this time is because two bishops had come to assess her education. So like they were sent to check her out. Like, is she being taught?
Right.
And they found out that her mother had not told her how close she was to the throne, and they insisted. So her mother snuck this paper into a book so she'd stumble across it.
Oh my gosh. That's devious.
I know. It's like, you'd think that she'd sit down and be like, let me tell you something, honey.
Yeah.
Like, kind of pass. It's an example of maybe a little bit of how she was as a mother.
Gosh.
So Victoria, though, had a suspicion because so many people had focused on her, but not on her half-sister. So she was like reading between the lines.
Okay.
So it's a good thing she found out when she did, because 3 months later, her uncle King George died, and she moved up to number 2.
Jeez.
And that is where we will leave this episode.
Ooh, boy. Okay. Goodness. Not even to the throne yet.
Well, it's a long life.
I know.
I wanted to set the stage for who she was and how she was and why she was.
Boy.
And where she was.
I am I hate to say increasingly appalled by the royals.
That is not the intent here.
No, I mean, I guess it's you know, you can't look 200 years in the past and then be too harsh on the judgment for it, because you know, medieval standards were still sort of carrying through, and
change takes time. You
know, but it's just shocking to hear about somebody who's basically raised in isolation, against their will, not allowed to be. It's also strangely ironic to say you were raised in isolation and you're never allowed to be alone.
Yeah. That is weird. I didn't think about that.
You know what I mean? It's like it's both of the most extreme things that you can experience in seemingly the worst ways.
Yeah. I mean, not totally the worst. Like, she had like ponies.
Well, sure. I just mean also, socially, though.
Psychologically, it was
socially and
screwy.
psychologically. Yeah. I mean, you literally cannot. even people that are, children, I should say, that these days that are homeschooled, I feel like there's a very common thing, and I know like my brother who homeschools his children, they will still do like group activities with other kids and like more or less recess time to just be like, we get it. You know what I mean? There's you need that as a human being. You just need to socialize with other people and just learn the ways of being, and it seems like she didn't really get that at all.
Yeah, I'm remembering a passage I read, and basically she was going out in the town somewhere, and she saw like a band of gypsies, and she was just like enthralled by them because they were so different. And I just think like we're talking about like she's torturing canaries, but she was like being kept prisoner in there. She wasn't in the Tower of London, but it was definitely, I don't know how I'd deal psychologically with that.
I wouldn't do well. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I work from home in my 9 to 5 over here. So, but I feel like I had to work up to that. Like, I feel like when you and I first started working together, I was like, I need to be around people.
I know. And I thought you were crazy.
I know. And now I'm like, dude, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't have to be around people at all.
Remember, Ariel wanted to be where the people are. But
I've never thought about that, by the way. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, brace yourselves. Next episode, we'll have a bit of a scandal.
Ooh.
And we'll learn more about Conroy and her mother and her uncle. And there's definitely, starts getting a little
I
messy.
feel like in the stage play of her life, I feel like I've got the stage set and the play has barely started. You know what I mean? I'm excited. I want to know more.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, sweet. I think you did a great job, Aubrey, and I love the content.
Thanks, Daniel.
I'm into it. And I think everybody else that's listening will agree with me right now. So
okay. Well, we survived. Oh man.
Cool. Well, I guess that'll wrap us up for today. Anything else you wanted to add about a good old Queen Victoria or what we can expect next?
No, I think you guys will be interested to hear about Conroy, and it almost makes me think of like Varys and the little birds or something.
Varys?
Varys.
Oh, Varys.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry, that was another Game of Thrones reference. It's hard not to think of Game of Thrones when you're thinking about royalty.
Well, I feel like George R.R. Martin had to have been looking at a bunch of old Succession stuff and just going, dude, this is all just good stories. And if we just put a bunch of dragons in there, people would be into this.
Yep.
And he was right.
So far, I haven't read about any dragons, though.
Well,
I know.
I'm out. That's it for me. No more Victoria. No dragons.
Oh.
We're done. Well, I guess we should say thanks, everybody, for listening. If you have any questions for us, any corrections, as always, you can send us an email at thebiographerspodcast@gmail.com. Beyond that, we will see you next time for Queen Victoria Part 2.
Part 2.
Awesome. Well, great job again, Aubrey.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right, everybody, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Biographers. For more information, please visit thebiographerspodcast.com.